One of my favorite parts about making YouTube videos is that it forces me to be in touch with where I'm spending my time, what could my weekly video be about, and oftentimes it makes me look back over the last couple weeks and months and say, what is something I've learned that I want to be able to document for simply my future self to look back on and smile and say, wow, past Aramis was an idiot. I'm so much smarter than him because, well, that's how hindsight works. Oftentimes, I feel like in my life, I will kind of get really focused on what I'm doing that week or that day or that hour or even moment to moment, and I lose sight of where I'm going in my life. Quite frankly, that pull to be so distracted with our daily moments, not from being present in my life, but like from being stressed out and overly focused on something, has been one of my priorities, is to like, quite frankly, quite often take a step back and look at my life and see where it's going. It's that mentality and that process led me to quit drinking alcohol, which completely changed my life, but also didn't change my life at the same time. It led me to quitting different jobs to go find better jobs. And most recently, it led me to starting my journey as a full-time game developer. It's a really helpful mentality for me and has helped me try to live the best life possible for myself. And I think without this YouTube channel, I would lose sight of my game development journey. I would get too caught up in the moment-to-moment aspect of implementing something in the UI or trying to fix a bug, and I wouldn't take those moments to step back and look at what I'm doing and try to look forward in my game development journey to see if there's things I'm doing now that are going to hinder my growth in the long term. And as many of you know, I released Hexagod into early access back in March, and one of my big struggles was I was addicted to making Hexagod, and I knew that I wanted to start working on game number 3, because one of the best ways for me to finish a project is to start working on a new project. So the goal was to spend 50% of my time doing Hexagod early access and 50% of my time doing game number 3, whether that's prototyping or I don't know, coming up with ideas or doing development work. You can see I'm even tracking the hours here. And in the last 2 months, I have spent 28 hours doing development type activities or market research or art or X, Y, and Z on game number 3. Now, I'm not quite ready to share what game number 3 is going to be, but 28 hours, I've worked far more than 50 hours in the last couple months, which means I'm probably more spending like 95% of my time on Hexagod right now. And on the one hand, I'm disappointed in that because, believe it or not, I actually put game number 3. It has a Steam page, it's reviewed by Steam, and it's a part of the Next Fest, which starts in like 2 weeks. But it is nowhere ready for a Next Fest, even though it is a small idea and a small game. It's not ready. And I'm disappointed in that because I was really hoping to try to learn something quick and dirty with a game number 3 project. But on the other hand, I'm not disappointing in myself because I got Hexagod into a state that I'm pretty excited about. If you've been following along with the channel, you'll know that I kind of massively reworked Hexagod and got it to a state where I think it's actually quite fun. And I know it's fun because oftentimes, this is a recording of myself playing the game today, I get myself caught up in trying to play the game. I'm not thinking about the game. I'm not thinking about the UI or the bugs or the balance. I'm simply trying to play and break my own game by trying to win it as hard as possible. And so I wanted to spend half my time doing game 3 and half my time doing Hexagod, but the honest reaction is that I feel like there's something fun with tile placement and placing and exploiting your adjacency bonuses to create hundreds, if not thousands of resources on a given turn. And so I simply followed the fun. I know that there's more fun to be had here, and so I did that. I got this new build published today, and you can go check it out as well. By the time this video comes out, there should also be a discount running if you're interested in picking up a copy of Hexagod. If not, you can wishlist it and wait for the full copy to come out probably later this year or early next year is probably the time frame, or I don't know, maybe in 2030 by this rate. I'll still be working on Hexagod. But there's a quick summary of all the changes and some adjustments to win conditions and kind of like the core structure. But my main goal was to keep the fun of tile placement and exploiting in place, and I think I did just that. Now, the other big thing you'll notice here is the artwork for Hexagod on the Steam page has been updated. Now, I worked with Dead Pixel over here. Sorry for the flashbang there. I worked with Dead Pixel here, and in exchange for a slight discount on their pricing, they kind of sponsored this spot in the ad, but they didn't say that I had to give them a glowing review or a negative review or X, Y, and Z. And I will say right off the bat, I am very happy with the results of working with them. I reached out to a couple different artists to get quotes and kind of get vibe checks on what would be a reasonable price for me, and then looking at their various art styles to see if they think they could do my art brief correctly. So as I was teching out and kind of reaching out to these different people, I sent them this big art brief, which has a description of what I'm trying to do, the game, and a few different capsule artworks that I liked that I wanted to take inspiration from. If you're going to be doing this and reaching out to other artists, it is really important that you create as detailed of an art brief as possible. Note the areas you want help with, note the things that you definitely want them to do, and then make sure you just over communicate with them. And that is ultimately why I went with Dead Pixel here. Well, that and the fact that his team is also his creative director is also his dog, and that just hit a sweet spot for somebody who has. Now you can see my background here. I have two cats. There's one up there and there's one down here. And this is the HR department, and they are sleeping on the job, which is a bummer. But that kind of sold me. And we immediately clicked. Our personalities clicked, and right away, he was really focused on making sure that I communicated likes or dislikes really quickly. And every step of the way, you can see here's a quick mock-up of what we were thinking, and then a little bit more color to slowly refine it. And each step of the way, I was asking questions, and he was giving me answers, and we were kind of refining further and further and further. And eventually, we started getting kind of to the core structure of it, looking at logos here, looking at what would be no logos. I actually asked for, you can't see my head's in the way. I actually asked for this this windmill to be added in to kind of push back this river looked a little weird. I said, what if we kind of pushed it back a little bit? He added that in, also added in some cows up here to make it look a little bit more like a little bit of a village or a farming area, that like this is a homestead working these different areas. And then we went back and forth looking at all the different types of logos. Some of these are pretty good and I think would look fine, but ultimately I went with just a flat Hexagod logo. I think that it's clean and clear and crisp and doesn't take away from the amazing artwork that Dead Pixel did. There'll be a link below to working with Dead Pixel. If you do end up working with them, let them know that Aramis sent you their way. And again, the new version of Hexagod is live right now over on Steam, and you can get a 10% discount. I will be hanging out over on my Twitch stream. There'll be a link above or below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the new artwork that Dead Pixel made for us, and your new thoughts on the game. The balance is absolutely garbage right now, and there's some missing content and a few more cherries to put on top, but I think now I finally might be ready to dedicate some time to game number 3. So you never know. On the stream today, I might start working on game number 3 and talking about that idea that I have been cooking up, I guess, very passively in the last few months. I've been Aramis. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.